You're gonna be just fine.
I just talk, I just talk.
Listen to them, children of the night.
Sic transit gloria.
Thrill me.
Hello everyone, welcome to Kill the Cast or Kill the Superheroes? I don't know what this is. This is Jerry and I am here with the ever-quotable Jay.
As far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass we lost. All of us. We lost friends, we lost family, we lost a part of ourselves. This is the fight of our lives.
Oh my god, I love that so much. If you can't tell, we're here to just kind of chat about Avengers Endgame. There, of course, will be spoilers, as this is just going to be a free, open kind of conversation about what we thought about the movie, what we enjoyed, what we liked, what we didn't like, all that fucking nonsense.
All the spoilers.
Yeah, so all the spoilers. It'll be in the title. It'll be in the title that they're spoilers. So get over that. So for Jay and I, both of them are big comic book fans, and we are big fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Besides, you can't include Endgame. What is what do you think is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie?
I gotta say Winter Soldier is probably my favorite.
Funny enough, I'm going Civil War.
That's fair. I just feel like Winter Soldier is, after the main group of movies, is one of the only ones that works completely on its own.
Yeah, I just think Civil War is what I want an Avengers movie to be. Because like the first Avengers movie is good. Age of Ultron was not that great. It was
basically
more,
a rehash of the first one.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. And then Infinity War was actually really good. And then the Marvel universe is kind of hit or miss. Like some of them aren't that great. Like the Thor movies, to me, all three of them are mediocre to me.
Oh, 3 was fantastic for me.
I didn't really care for 3. I thought it was trying a little too hard to have that Guardians of the Galaxy feel, and it looked too much like a video game the entire time.
Oh, see, I love the scenery.
Yeah, I didn't really dig it. But it also broke the formula of Thor movies of watching them as romantic comedies to make them better. So I give it props for that, and of course Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I think most people agree that Iron Man 3 is the weakest Marvel Cinematic movie.
It is. So it is. But when I rewatched them all last year, I realized it's not really a bad movie, aside from the stupid twist that the Mandarin is an actor.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's a great character study of somebody with PTSD, and they do a real good job of portraying that. And I thought, just all that other stuff is great. It's just that one little twist.
I do think people shit on Iron Man 2 and 3 a little too much, because I really like 2. I think 2 is a great continuation of Iron Man. And then, yeah, you're right, Iron Man 3, the villain twist sucks, but the character of Tony Stark is so good. But I think
that end scene with all the fucking suits is pretty cool.
Yeah. But I think we see that with a lot of the Marvel Universe, is they don't have the best villains, but their superheroes are so well just done that their characters are so interesting and you feel for them. So it kind of makes it better. And that's kind of the point of Endgame, is we've spent so much time with all these characters. This is 10 years in the making. And after Infinity War kind of punched us in the face and really hurt us, it left a lot of us trying to figure out, so what do they do? We all had crazy theories, they're going to use the Soul Stone somehow to bring everyone back, or are they going to do like the comic book, and is is Nebula going to bring everyone back? How are they going to do this? And it was really hard to tell, because Thanos's motivation in the comic book is way different than his motivation in the movie.
That's true.
His motivation...
He just wants to bang Death.
Yeah, he's just trying to fuck Death. That's all he wants to do, is prove his love to Death. And so, bam, but in the movie, it's not about Death. It's about just bringing balance, because he was on a world that did not have balance, and now he's the He's a savior that we needed. So Thanos did nothing wrong. That's what I'm saying.
Well, kind of committed universal genocide, but
You know what? It's not genocide. He did not take out an entire race.
I know, but
Or try to take out an entire race. He simply had a alternative view on what's the right word? Alternative view on population control.
yeah, sure.
You know, he was fair with it. He it's like that thing where people go, "Oh, I'm not racist. I hate everyone evenly." It's like I bet you do, sixth grader. But you know, he was all even and shit. So, with Endgame, I legitly thought I knew what was going to happen, and as soon as that movie started, I quickly learned, very quickly, that I knew nothing. I was so fucking Jon Snow.
I knew that time travel was going to be involved.
I didn't, but I also literally watched the first trailer that was just Tony Stark talking into that helmet. That's it. That's
so
the
it
only
didn't
thing I
come
watched.
from a trailer. It came from set photos that I saw a long time ago.
How do you get time travel from set photos?
Because they were back at the Battle of New York, and it was new footage.
Oh, okay.
But I knew Hawkeye's family was going to eat it. Just because you don't turn into Ronin without losing a bunch of something. Like, I didn't think he'd be killing people in Japan if his family hadn't died. So
Yeah.
I knew that was coming. However, this is probably the first Marvel movie to generate actual tension for me.
Yes,
Because
this
no
movie,
idea where they were going to go. Maybe you had an idea that a main character was going to actually die, but you don't know. There's no way to tell. So,
Yeah, no, I actually went in this movie kind of expecting, like, I knew this was going to be the end for some characters, but I didn't necessarily think it meant death. I just knew that this was going to be the end for some of these characters, and I didn't know how they were going to do it. Obviously, they could have done death or retirement or whatever, or just being completely outdated by newer models at this point.
Right.
So I was with you there. I didn't quite know what to expect, and since I did not know time travel was involved, as the movie kept going, I was just like, "What the fuck what are they doing? Where are they going with this?" Like, I just don't, like, you start off the movie and with 5 minutes we're chopping off Thanos' head.
Yep.
Like,
I thought that was great. I was like, holy shit.
I didn't know what to say. I was just like, well, what the fuck? What do you mean?
He went for the head.
He did. So, yeah, they cut off Thanos' head, and then it kind of goes to how everyone's adapting to this new world with, you know, Captain Marvel flying around and taking care of different places in the galaxy that are kind of going through the same shit. You know, there's a few people still doing stuff. We see this great scene of Captain America in a support group talking to people, and there's a little controversy with that scene because the guy's
gay?
Because the guy's gay, and it's not the fact that he, like, people are mad that he's gay. They're the fact that when you said you're going to give us an openly gay character in the movie, we didn't mean, like, a 2-minute clip of a guy in a support meeting adjacent to Captain America.
Oh.
Like, they felt kind of like, you can't take credit for that. Let's not do it. And I agree with him. I don't think it's enough to get up in arms, but I would point and be like, hey, that's not having an openly gay character. He's not a character. He's an NPC.
He's an extra.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck if it is played by one of the directors. It doesn't count. And then we see how wrecked this has left Natasha. We see, as you already brought up, Hawkeye is out there just fucking murdering people. He went full Punisher.
Yep.
It's fucking dope. And of course, we have Captain Falcon actually hunting him down.
Captain Falcon. He's like, Falcon Punch!
Exactly. I call him Captain Falcon.
Well, I guess he's Captain Falcon now.
Oh, yeah, now he is, isn't he? Yeah, so the Falcon's going around looking for him and shit. So, how this movie actually gets really kickstarted is somehow Ant-Man comes out of the microscopic universe that he was trapped in at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes.
So
that was complete luck.
Yeah, 5 years later, he finally figures out how to get out. So he goes, finds his daughter, he goes and finds the Avengers, and he starts explaining how he thinks that they can do fucking time travel and shit. And it's like, okay, why is my phone... I muted my phone, right? And instead of muting my phone, it muted my media, and I don't have any media on my phone going right now.
That's weird.
That is weird. Anyway, so he shows up and he starts explaining the time travel thing. So Captain America and Natasha, they end up going to Iron Man and being like, yo, this is what up. But Iron Man's like, I've got a daughter and she loves me like 3,000. So, not having it. But of course, in typical Iron Man fashion, he does end up cracking time travel, which is good because when they go to meet Bruce Banner, who is now Bruce the Hulk Banner.
Professor Hulk.
Hulk.
I was really hoping that we would get this movie. It's one of my favorite versions of the Hulk, and I'm so glad that we did.
I dug it. It was a more social media conscious Professor Hulk, which was pretty cool. But, so they talk to Hulk, and he's kind of like, I don't know if I can do it, but they rope him in. So, they start working on it, and they start putting the team back together, and we get the best part of this. Ant-Man eating a taco when Nebula and Rocket Raccoon show up, and they make fun of Ant-Man, and Hulk brings him another taco. Then we get the second best part.
2 tacos, actually.
2 tacos.
He's very generous.
He is very generous for such a big guy. Then the great next thing we get is Fat Thor.
Yes. So, like a day after I saw this movie, an article came out that said, oh man, Avengers is so problematic. It's fat shaming. Now, I'm fat. I do believe that fat shaming is a real thing. This was not that. It is 2 jokes and a sight gag. But one of the jokes is from Rocket, who literally makes fun of everybody for everything.
Yeah, and they're not really like...
He stays fat the whole movie and completes the end battle while fat. So really, it's just fat positivity.
I don't know. That suit did some work on him.
Listen, he's still chubby.
But yeah,
Thanos' ass. So
he did. I'll give you that.
Fat positivity right there. So just look at it that way.
But I don't think it's fat shaming. I think anyone who calls that fat shaming is going a little overboard. You have to leave in comedy, in art, you have to leave a little room for stuff like this. Fat shaming would have been like if they would have kicked him off the Avengers for being fat.
Right.
They didn't. I mean, I don't see any alcoholics or recovered alcoholics getting pissed that they're like, oh, they lured him onto the ship with alcohol. They're enabling him.
Yeah, right?
No one fucking did that. Shut the fuck up. But yeah, Fat Thor is actually hilarious. I really like Dad Bod Thor, so to speak.
Yep, makes me feel like I could be Thor now.
It was, and it was also very humanizing for Thor because, like, in Infinity War, like, Thor's always a character I can't relate to. You know, like, he's too good. He is technically like the most powerful Avenger, and he's just too much. I can never relate to him. Like Captain America, I can get. Iron Man, I can get. Ant-Man, I can definitely get. But Thor is just a little, like, he's royalty, and he's a god, and he's not of this earth, he's super powerful. He can grow a fucking fantastic beard. I can't relate to any of that.
I can grow a fantastic beard.
You can.
I once wielded a magical hammer, so...
Was the magical hammer your dick?
Yes, but that's not the point. It still made lightning.
Huh. If you picked up your dick and it didn't get hard immediately, would you be considered not worthy?
Possibly.
That's my problem. Okay, I'll figure that out. So yeah, the whole Thor thing, to me in this movie, he's finally relatable. For the first time in his life, in his real life, he did not come out on top. He's lost before, he's lost family and everything. He keeps going, but he's never lost. So he's lost so much at this point that it's just too much. He's lost father, mother, brother, his whole entire world. And then he couldn't beat Thanos, even with his new brilliant axe.
Yeah.
So he felt worthless, and he pretty much drank himself into Jay's body.
Yep, that's true. I do have a Thor body.
Yeah, you can go around now and be like, yeah, I got that Thor body. Yeah. You put that
what
in...
do you look like? Pretty much like Thor.
Guys, put it in your Tinder profile now. You have a Thor body. You can do that. It's not lying anymore. They get the band back together. Tony Stark shows up, and they basically are going to do time travel. And I gotta say, as someone who's not a fan of time travel, I loved them making fun of time travel and talking about how it's not like any of those movies, and Back to the Future lied to you all.
Yeah,
it was great. In fact, up until the end of this movie, I was actually 100% okay with their time travel.
So we discussed this a little bit, and I have a different outlook on it if we want to get back into that discussion on air.
We will as we get towards the end.
Okay.
Because I want it to fit in, because we got to get to proper places. So their basic plan is they are going to go back in time, get the Infinity Stones, come back, undo what they did, and then go, and then at this point they don't have a plan after that. But as they go back and do it, the Hulk learns from the mystic chick played by Tilda Swinton. Fuck, I was trying to burp and say her name at the same time. Who's a fantastic actress, by the way. She was in the 2018 Suspiria. She explains to them, if you remove something from this timeline, if you change this timeline, it creates a divergent timeline. So she explains to Hulk that and the Hulk goes, well, if we bring it back and put it back in the same spot as to where we took it, it will not create a divergent timeline. And this is very important for the conversation Jay and I will get into later. So then we get this kind of fun. I've heard some people complain about this, that the second hour of the movie is a little boring because it's just them reliving older movies.
Yeah, but you get different angles. You get some gaps filled in, which I really liked.
Yes, and I didn't think it outstayed its welcome. I thought all the attack on New York stuff was great. The shit with fucking Star-Lord was hilarious. And then that also added in the twist of Nebula, linking with herself so Thanos could find out. And then we also had the third one, which is Thor and Rocket Raccoon, where Thor is having a mental breakdown. He can't do this. But he gets to talk to his mom, and she's kind of like, I know what's going on. And, Rocket Raccoon does the shit, and they leave. So, that's out of the way.
Fun fact, that was filmed with extra footage of Natalie Portman left over from Thor 2, because she was done with the MCU after Thor 2.
I was wondering if they got her back or if they just used unused footage. So, thank you for answering that for me.
You're welcome.
So, the Avengers in New York one is probably the
best?
To me, the best one, because it does this very interesting thing where so everything's going perfect. Unfortunately, Hulk ruins the plan by being forced to go down the stairs. The Hulk from that timeline. And so he kind of bashes Tony Stark in the face so that Tony loses the case, and then Loki jacks the case and jumps into a different fucking portal. So please do something with that. I want something. So
So I know they're planning on a Loki TV show, and that might be the basis for it. Is alternate
It could
timeline
be.
Loki just like
Yeah, 'cause
quantum
that's-
leaping it up?
yeah, that's the divergent timeline. With that thing, they created a new timeline right there. So that's one new timeline they've already created right there. That I don't think they can fix. Because technically, they never took the stone from right there.
Right.
They now have to go and get the stone from another timeline, but they have to do it at the same place that they can also get Pym particles so that they can come back. So after a fight between Captain America and Captain America, where we get to look at
You gotta be shitting me. One of my
Yeah.
favorite lines in the whole movie.
America's ass. Oh, yeah, so what is up with Captain America having such a potty mouth in this movie?
He lost half the universe, buddy. So
I know, but
just
it's
doesn't
so
give a shit.
It's just so funny because in Age of Ultron, you know, the whole joke
Language.
is language. Yeah, exactly. And in this movie, he's over here just dropping bombs.
Yeah,
Someone got a blowjob behind a Walmart.
losing to Thanos would do that to you.
Apparently. So they send Ant-Man back to the regular universe, and they go back further in time to where Hank Pym and Howard Stark are working on a military base, at the same military base where the Tesseract is, and there's Pym particles. So they obviously go do this. For Captain America's thing, he gets to see his ex as he gets the Pym particles. Well, not his ex, but he gets to see Peggy Carter, and, you know, there's this whole lingering thing. And then Tony gets to talk to his dad.
Oh,
And this is
that
before...
was so... That's the first time I cried in this movie, was at that scene.
That scene didn't get me because it was always kind of a little awkward. But the whole conversation between them is Howard Stark hasn't had his son yet, but his wife is pregnant. And so, you know, he's kind of talking about his son to his son. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But they succeed and they go back. And then we're now going to jump to the Falcon and Nebula one. When they go,
Isn't it War Machine and Nebula?
Yeah, I'm sorry, War Machine and Nebula. War
Okay.
Machine and Nebula, and they are getting the stone. They get the stone from a knocked out Peter Quill, and as they try to go back, War Machine gets to go back, but unfortunately, Nebula has a seizure and can't go back because she's glitching out. And this glitch out is important because it links Nebula to Nebula so that Thanos can learn about it, and it's Thanos, Gamora, and Nebula all together. So, unfortunately, Nebula gets captured by them, and that's a whole fucking thing that actually turns into how they find out that that Thanos did it, succeeded, but they found a way to undo it. So Thanos is like, fuck that. So Nebula takes the gold plate off Nebula, and then the bad Nebula goes to the future.
Yes.
Yes. And the last one that we haven't brought up is the one I wanted to wait for, and that is Hawkeye and the Black Widow. Natasha and Clint go to get the Soul Stone. And
Yep.
Unfortunately, with the Soul Stone, you have to pay a price for it. And it's one of them has to die.
Yep.
What happens if you go there and you don't have someone with you?
Then you just leave. You don't get the Soul Stone.
You don't. What if you're like, I'll cut my dick off, or my tongue, or something?
I don't know. It says a soul for a soul is what he said. So I think it's got to be a living person.
It's kind of like the Bailet from Berserk. To be honest,
I don't know what that is.
the Bailet from Berserk.
Yeah.
It's the thing, that red egg that Griffith wears.
Okay.
You have to sacrifice a living person, or more. You can sacrifice more than one. The more you sacrifice, I think, the better it does. But you have to sacrifice a living person for you to gain its power.
I gotcha.
So we have Widow and Hawkeye fight it out to see who's going to do it. Hawkeye wants to kill himself, and he's like, tell my family I said bye and I love them. And she's like, no. And, well, she ends up winning, and she dies. And it's actually a very, like, strong death. Because this was the death I
Second
didn't
time
expect.
I cried during this movie.
I almost cried. I was honestly about to cry, but as it woke up to Hawkeye in the water like Thanos was in the last movie, and he looks up, the position he's in that sky was almost exactly like Griffith in Berserk when the eclipse starts.
Oh.
So I immediately went from about to cry to, oh my god, that's fucking dope. And I have no idea if that's on purpose or what. But like people have already like done screenshot comparisons of them. So it's pretty dope. So they come back and he goes back to the future and he lets them know. Well, they build a gauntlet out of the Iron Man armor and they snap their finger and everything comes back. But at this point, the evil Nebula, the Nebula from the past, ends up using the time portal to bring her father and all of his armies in.
Yep.
And they blow up the headquarters, and from there we get into the last part of this movie, which is the great battle, the Great War.
2 great battles in 1 week.
Oh my god, yes. One you could see and one you couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though I still stand by why you couldn't see it in Game of Thrones, for the record. I'm okay with it. I wish I could have seen it, but I get the reason why. But this is about the Avengers. So, this battle is fucking epic. I'm not going to do a breakdown of this fucking battle because it's just way too fucking much.
Okay, but I do gotta say, we finally get to hear Captain America say Avengers Assemble, and it was the absolute most perfect point.
I'm going to go through a couple of things that are really important, but I'm just not going to do a breakdown. So, first thing that's important, Captain America uses Thor's hammer.
I vocally yayed when that happened.
Like a horse.
Like, no, not yayed. Like, in the theater, I was like, yes! Oh, man, I lost my shit. It was so fucking cool.
And I'll admit, at first, I was like, that's dope, until Captain America used the lightning powers, and I was like, well, he's not the god of lightning now. Let's calm down.
Remember the whole saying.
That's what I was getting to. I did later on remember, after the movie and talking about it, I remembered that the whole saying is, if you're worthy to wield the hammer, you get the power of Thor.
Yep.
So that's how he could do it. I don't know how the fuck he knew how to do it. Like I didn't hear him. Like, you didn't think, like, he wouldn't go through, like, a Spider-Man thing when Spider-Man's trying to figure out how to make the web go? Like, he would sit there swinging the hammer like, go lightning. Lightning strike.
I assume it's
Pikachu.
just kind of instinct.
I guess so, but I don't know. So that part I was a little on. I was like, I don't know about that. But him using the hammer was cool, and it was funny when Thor was like, I fucking knew it.
Yeah. So here's the question. Does that mean he realized he could lift the hammer in Age of Ultron and then stopped? Or do you think he wasn't quite there yet?
I don't think he was quite there yet, because he, like, going back, like, I was watching, after Infinity War, I watched Infinity War, then I went to go see Endgame, and then after I watched Endgame, I watched Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, and Avengers. Watching Avengers, you know what? He's kind of, he has his own ego, about him that could rival Tony Stark's. His is just more in a pretentious goody-goody way. And I think he finally lost that in Infinity War.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, and I think him coming back to terms with Iron Man also helped that. So I think he became more humbled in this movie because he understood and dealt with the loss better than almost anyone. So I think that's how he was able. I don't think he could have lifted it in Age of Ultron. He wasn't humbled. Hell, they were still like the top team back then. So after that, I guess the next big thing is Captain Marvel showing up.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so I liked the Captain Marvel movie. I thought it was fun. I don't really see why people were bitching about it. I thought it was pretty fun. I think people are just hard on any movie that's from, like, like a top line nerd level. So Marvel, Star Wars, shit like that. Like it's going to get scrutinized so bad, and so many people hate it based off their own personal bias and shit like that. So I really didn't get the whole hate for fucking Captain Marvel. It was the same reason I didn't get the hate for Black Panther. It made no sense. But there is one problem with Captain Marvel. She is OP.
Yes, which is why they kept her out of most of the movie.
Yes, but the fact that she's still there is still a problem. And I worry how the rest of the Marvel universe will be affected by someone overpowered. She's our version of Superman. You know?
Kind of, but so I think her being off planet a lot to take care of other planetary issues is a good reason for her not to be around. And there's plenty of cosmic bad guys to choose from for her solo movies. So it makes sense.
I agree, but if she's going to be part of the Avengers, and whatever we have left after this for Avengers, whenever they've assembled, she's gonna kind of make Captain America Falcon look weak as fuck. She's going to make Spider-Man look weak as fuck, and he's got superpowers. Like
yeah,
that's my issue.
I think with good writing it'll be okay, because I mean in the comics they have way more people.
Yeah,
with
but
crazy powers, and they
I
keep
agree.
It balanced.
But this Captain Marvel is already even with her movie is doing so much different from the comic books. And I don't mean just in the way that most movies do it. Like, the whole big twist in the Captain Marvel movie was such a big fuck you to the comics.
Yeah, I liked it, though, because I didn't see it coming.
Oh, I didn't see it coming, and I wouldn't say I like it. I don't dislike it. I have to see how it plays out.
That's
but,
fair.
like, for you to take something that's so... That's as much canon as Steve Rogers not willing to kill a human being.
That's fair, but they could still do like a rogue group of Skrull for Secret Wars.
They could.
If they ever decided to do that.
They could. I mean, I don't know what they'll do with that, but my point is I still feel a little worried about Captain Marvel. So she comes in, but it's just not enough. Thanos is fucking coming in hard. But keep in mind, everyone got brought back from the snap. So guess what time it is? Fucking Doctor Strange portals start opening up, and everybody, all the superheroes who were lost in the snap, come back. Keep in mind, Gamora does not come back because she was not lost in the snap.
But she is back because they brought her back through time.
No. But that's not the same Gamora.
No, it's not the same Gamora, but it is a Gamora.
But it's very important we separate them. They made a big point that it's a different Gamora by something that happens in the end. Because this movie confirms the death of a few characters. It confirms the death of what I call Peter Quill's Gamora, Vision, and Loki. I think all three of them are... I think you could argue Loki isn't confirmed, but I think I think Loki's death is confirmed for this timeline.
Oh yeah, Loki's definitely dead.
Yeah, so this timeline's Gamora, Vision, and Loki are all confirmed dead by this movie. So technically they did die in the previous movie, but I do believe because we didn't know who was going to come back, we needed the confirmation from this movie. So, with that being said, the big war is going on, and now it is a game of keep away, it's basically a game of football, except the football is the fucking...
Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, it's the Infinity Gauntlet. And so they do this really cool thing of passing it between people. Black Panther gets it, and Spider-Man gets it. And the cool thing about when Spider-Man gets it is, like, he gets his fucking ass, like, beat and handed to him. and right before, like, you're like, oh my god, literally every female superhero possible shows up and is just like, you will not hurt my precious Peter Parker.
I fucking love that scene so much. I don't care what anybody has to say. That was so fun.
I love the scene. The only problem I have is, once again, Captain Marvel's a little too OP and none of the other females were actually needed.
Well, yeah, because she was just kind of running the gauntlet. They were running interference for her.
She doesn't need interference, is the problem.
But she did, because Thanos...
No, she literally fucking blew past fucking everyone and shot so far forward that she left everyone still there kind of guarding Peter Parker. Like, I thought, like I said, I love Captain Marvel. I think Brie did a wonderful job with her. I do have problems with how overpowered she is. I think she's a great fucking superhero. I just wish they wouldn't have made her so fucking overpowered. Like, throw me a flaw or something. Give her a weakness.
That's fair.
That's the only thing that I'm just kind of like, come on. Because I really do like her. I think she's wonderful. But I did love this moment of like women empowerment showing up and being like, oh, we're here and we're here to kick ass. I fucking loved it. I thought that was a great thing for a 2019 movie. And even though it can be kind of downsized and kind of looked at a small thing, I do think it's important, especially for these women hater and nerd culture. I fucking hate these nerd gatekeepers who are trying to keep women out and belittle women because they don't have enough social skills to convince a woman to touch their penis. Which, guys, just get some money and buy a prostitute. Stop buying magic cards for a month, and you can afford a hand job. I promise you. But it really is a problem, and I was really glad that this happened because a lot of the unjustified hate I saw for Captain Marvel was based on these they're not as far as incels, but they're just these nerd gatekeepers that think feminism is
killing everything,
is cancer because they can't get a date. And it's fucking sad. It's the same thing that happens with Black Panther, except it's not nerd gatekeepers. It's you people that are trying very hard to hide you have slightly racist tendencies. We see you. Okay? I have most likely unfriended you on Facebook. Actually, I have. You were a dick and I unfriended you. But it was really cool to see this moment. I fucking loved it. I would love to see a fucking... I don't know how they would do it, but I would actually love to see like a all-female Avengers movie.
That'd be dope.
With these characters. It would be really fucking cool. Almost like how DC's doing their Birds of Prey. Which right. I don't know much about because I'm not a big DC guy. But I'm starting to come around on you, DC. Shazam was good. Shazam was really good. So, kudos. But after this, we have the battle once again to keep the glove off of Thanos. And
so this time,
they know
what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. Tony Stark's know what he's doing because when you make the glove out of Tony Stark tech, he can. You know how for the longest time there was that meme from some Disney movie where the lion's got the rings on the fingers and the bear goes to kiss it and he ends up like sucking all the jewels out? Yeah. Tony Stark does that. They literally did that meme where he was just like, oh yeah, it's my glove, by the way. So I can like literally press a button and it will just come off your hand and come onto me. And he did that. And unlike the Hulk, he did not have the ability to live through that, unfortunately. So while he did snap and erase Thanos and his army, he did not survive it. And this is where it gets real sad, guys. Peter Parker runs up to him and starts talking and crying. Tears are welling up in my eyes. All right, it's coming. I know it's not going to stop this time, but I'm fighting it. I'm holding back. I'm trying to be strong here. You know, I'm trying to find like my inner Magneto, you know, and it's not happening. Pepper Potts, moves him out of the way and gets down, and I fucking lose it. And I lose it all the way through all of that, all the way through his fucking funeral. They have a funeral for him, and the funeral has all these callbacks. They take his proof that Tony Stark has a heart, first heart he made in Iron Man that Potts ends up making into a little like award thing for him. They have that. They show that, and then they show the kid from Iron Man 3. He's the one that's just kind of one teenage boy by himself.
Yeah, which I had to ask Jerry. I was like, who the fuck was that kid just hanging out in the background?
And funny enough, I didn't know who it was. And then Dan Chase from Cut to the Chase was like, so you knew who that kid was? And I was like, dude, I didn't. I was wondering who it was. Is it that kid from Iron Man 3 maybe? And literally as I hit enter and that pops up, not a second later is him going, oh, it's the kid from Iron Man 3.
That's funny.
So like if I wouldn't have guessed it right then, he would have been the one that told me. And then they have the thing with what's his fucking name? John Favreau's character.
Oh, Happy.
Happy. They have Happy talking to Tony Stark's daughter, and she wants cheeseburgers, and Happy's like, your dad loved cheeseburgers, and that's because in the first movie, as soon as Tony gets back to America, he gets Burger King.
Yeah. So my range of emotions went like this. So realize Tony is dying. I'm like, shit. And I'm okay for a little bit. They get to the funeral. I lose it. Absolutely lose it. I felt really bad for the guy next to me. It was almost a full house. Really bad for the guy next to me because I'm just, audibly crying, squeezing my wife's hand. Calm down just a little bit, get to the scene with Happy, and lose it all over again.
Yeah, I will say mine was not audible.
It was. I started soft, and it just built to a fucking crescendo of man crying.
Yeah. And I don't blame you. I think it's completely manly to cry at Avengers Endgame.
I've been with this guy this character for 11 years, or however long it's been.
Yeah, it's 10 or 11. I've seen different people say it. I think it's cleaner to just say a decade, but that's whatever.
Fine. Either way. And however many movies he's been in, and I thought, in my head, I thought, oh yeah, it's got to end with Tony. He started this whole universe, so it's got to end with him. And that didn't save me.
Yeah, and then Clint talking to Scarlet Witch about the deaths that they have to deal with because theirs didn't come back. That they are dealing with loss. And all that was hard. And then we get to the last scene. Or no, before we get to the last scene, we get to Thor joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. And this is where I brought up why it's really important that Pill's Gamora is dead. Because he's trying to find Gamora. And here's my question.
Current Gamora, not dead Gamora.
Past timeline Gamora.
Yes.
Is past Gamora dead? When Tony snapped his finger and he said, what? We don't know what he asked for. If he asked for all of Thanos' army to go away, in his mind, does Gamora count? Because he never saw Gamora. He doesn't know Gamora's there. But technically, Gamora showed up there as part of Thanos' army and then switched sides. Early on, I'll give you that, but switched sides.
So, I think
Thoughts?
that the glove is very intuitive to what you want to happen. There's no way that Hulk knows every single person who died during the snap. He's just like, reverse the snap. And it did. So I would think that it all depends on that person's, allegiances at the time. Like, obviously, there's not going to be any deathbed. Oh, no, I don't want to be with Thanos anymore. But she had already made the choice to change sides when she rescued regular Nebula, which is way before any of this even started. So,
yeah, but are you putting on there that the glove gets to make the decision and it's not making the decision based off Tony?
Correct. Because there's no way he could know. Like, again, if he's just like, get rid of Thanos' army, well, we don't know what wish, but if that's the wish or the commander, or however you want to phrase it, then she wasn't part of his army at the time of the snap. And the decision had been not made because of the possibility of death. She had made it on her own volition.
Yeah, I just think that my biggest thing is I don't think the glove gets to make that decision, and I think it would go based off whatever logic is in the owner's head, and the logic to me would be Tony Stark going, everyone who's part of Thanos' army, i.e. people who showed up on his ships, which is Gamora.
Wow, that will always be open for interpretation because we don't know.
Yeah,
what
we don't. I
actually thought of.
Hopefully, we'll find out in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I'm hearing Chris Hemsworth has signed on to play Thor.
Oh,
again.
Nice. I was wondering if he would be traveling with them.
I would love to see a Guardians of the Galaxy movie with him because I think the dynamic between him and Quill is fucking hilarious. And that's the whole ending scene with the Guardians of the Galaxy is the Peter Quill and Thor thing. But I had to bring up that my is Gamora dead thing or not. So now we go into the actual end of the movie, which is Tony's dead. So now Captain America, Steve Rogers has to go back in time, and he's going to go put all the stones back in the right places, which, problem number one, he can't. Most of the stones are now in different forms. He's not giving back the Tesseract. He's not giving back the Aether. He can't do what their definition of time travel says he has to do. So therefore, this whole plan is actually worthless for the most part.
Wait, how can he not give back the Ether?
Because it's now in the form. Because he's not giving them back the Aether in the Aether form. He's giving them back the stone. He's putting it back and not in a different form than he took it in. Just like when you go to give the Tesseract back, you're not giving them the Tesseract. You're giving them the stone. So you're changing, like, they're gonna fucking know. Hey, wasn't this a big blue cube earlier? It's a little pebble now. Did it dehydrate? What the fuck is this?
That's a good point.
So that's, like, I was... with time travel, there's always going to be something that fucks it up. And unfortunately, this is the point in the movie where they actually fuck it up. Which I guess is inevitable. I don't think it's possible to write a perfect, solid time travel thing. Because there's just too much mumbo jumbo. So they fuck up number one. I'll describe the scene, and then me and Jay will get into the conversation we were having about it.
Yeah.
So he goes back in time, and then he doesn't come back, and then Bucky's like, hey, look over there. And it's an old dude sitting over there, and he's like, hey, Falcon, go talk to him. So Falcon goes over there, and Steve basically says, I stayed in the past to enjoy that thing, life that Tony was talking about. And by the way, here's the Captain America shield. You're Captain America now. And I enjoyed life with a lady, and they show a clip of him dancing with, they don't outright say it, but it's Peggy Carter.
Definitely Peggy.
So, he basically stayed in the past. Okay, so the argument is twofold. There is an argument. There's an argument based off the time travel, and there's an argument based on the character of Captain America.
Yes.
Which one do you want to get into first?
We can just how we were talking.
Okay,
is fine.
So the argument is, much like I was just saying with the time stones and how they were taking them back, but some of them were no longer in the exact same form. we have that once again. It's going to alter the timeline because he is staying in the past and altering Peggy's life. Because Peggy, if you remember in Winter Soldier, they talk about Peggy getting married and having kids. Now there is a thing out there that goes, oh, well, it was Captain America was the unnamed husband. I'm calling bullshit on that. No fucking way.
Right, because that's not how time travel works, as explained by the Hulk.
Exactly. So I'm saying that he created a divergent timeline by staying back there, therefore would not be sitting on the log in the same timeline at the end of the movie.
So, yes, you are correct. I just assume that after that he kept the return bracelet, and after he lived his life is when he hid it.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but I guess he could have, though he would have shown up in his suit and he would have shown up on the device.
I guess that's true.
So those are my only two problems with that. So that kind of ends. And I also want to talk about the character of Captain America. Captain America doing this is not something Captain America would have done. And Captain America's changed a lot, but did he change enough to knock out these couple of things? Ruin someone's marriage, even though technically he's doing it before they're married. Erasing children. He seems like a pro-life kind of guy to me. So I would therefore argue that if pro-life argue that clumps of cells are life, then if you know that she would have given life in that timeline and you actively keep her from doing that, you are arguably aborting her 2 children.
So this is actually the part I gave more thought to. So I'll actually concede on the time travel being a plot hole because it doesn't work how they said it worked with him being able to be on that log somehow. However, there's already a timeline where her children exist. So probably to him, at least this is how I would rationalize it, he's not actually erasing anybody because they exist. And they all only seem to care about their own dimension.
If that's true. If the only problem with all that is...
Well, if the Ancient One, or whatever her name is, I can't remember, had not tried to stop Hulk, he wouldn't have given a shit about split timelines.
Completely agree with you. I completely agree. And my only problem with that is that would have been true if he didn't show back up in their timeline. Do you see the problem? If he would have stayed in a divergent timeline, you're right. It would have created a divergent timeline. She would have continued to go on in that one timeline to marry and have kids and all that good stuff. But according to this movie, he broke the laws of time travel they set, stayed in that timeline without creating a divergent, and showed up. So for the movie to work the way they say it, to break its own rules, means that Captain America ruined a marriage, committed at least 2 acts of abortion, and knowingly did not help in any of the emergencies, including Hydra taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. and his best friend Bucky being used and abused for over 30 fucking years. He did not stop any of that. He did not stop Bucky killing Tony Stark's parents. He did not. There's so many things that with prior knowledge he could have stopped, and he didn't stop. And I don't know that Captain America is the type of person who could sleep at night, so knowing all that.
If we accept that the rules of time travel, for whatever reason, even though it's unexplained, are now different, and he was able to stay within his own timeline without creating a divergent timeline, then technically they would still find Frozen Cap, and Frozen Cap would take care of all that.
Nope. Frozen Cap does not keep Bucky from being abused for 30 years. Because he does not know.
All the events would play out as they did in the MCU.
Correct, but I'm saying, so he could probably be okay with Hydra taking over, but you're going to sit there and tell me he's okay with Bucky being abused for 30 years?
Maybe he doesn't want to fuck up anything more than he already did.
Oh, yeah, no, he's already fucked up enough. You better not do any more. Let's not do that. I'm just saying that for for all the good thing this movie did, to me it had two issues. Captain Marvel being too overpowered, which not a big issue. And like I say, I still really like Captain Marvel. Just we got to figure out a way on this overpower issue. We got to figure that out. If it's, you know how they did it in the comic book, Rogue touched her. You know, maybe we have a lesbian scene. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
And then the Captain America ending is just not good.
It's not so. I like the
intent
of the ending, but after this conversation, I will admit that it's not written well.
Yeah, it's the intent of it is great. The meaning behind it, wonderful. But it hurts. It goes against the Captain America character, and it goes against the way they set up their time travel. And I would love for them to answer this. If they can come on, when the special edition Blu-ray comes out, if they've got a way to explain it that makes sense, I'll give it to them. Otherwise, sorry, you fucked that one up. But, every movie's got to have a fuck up, and at least your fuck up was at the very end, and it doesn't really affect the rest of the movie.
Right.
So, I mean, because you could even argue that at this point, Captain America just didn't give a shit about changing other timelines and didn't give a shit about, he was like, oh, Bucky will eventually be okay. Like, I can't buy that, but I can at least get behind the thought process of he going, you know what, I've done enough. I want a life for me.
We also,
little
he
Tony
may have
Stark
changed
rubbing
a whole
off.
bunch of stuff that we don't know about too.
But that becomes a problem of, did he change it in this timeline? Which obviously he didn't, because Bucky's still here and Bucky's life is still the same, so it still led to here. Or did he do it in a divergent timeline? If that's the case, it doesn't count, because we don't know that it count because they put him in the standard timeline instead of the divergent one.
Right, but what I'm saying is he may have stopped everything, made it all great, made that whole timeline absolutely perfect, the alternate one that he was in, and then tracked down Tony Stark and was like, hey, I need to get back to my own timeline on a bench when I'm 80.
Wow, okay, you're grasping at straws.
I'm just saying there's so many unknown variables that we don't really know what.
You're not actually, well, okay, here's my only problem. That means someone else in the in-game timeline would have had to build a machine for him to come back on, because he's got Hank Pym's molecules. He can travel through time if he has the other parts of the machine. So someone in that timeline would have had to build the machine to bring him from the divergent one into the regular one. That theory could work if he had someone in that fucking timeline to do it for him, which he doesn't.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. He track down Tony Stark and...
How's Tony Stark go? But then Tony Stark still has to... Well, I guess so. Tony Stark could build a thing to send him back there, and then he just takes off the suit, puts it in the bushes, acts all old and shit, gives him the shield, goes back, puts the suit back on, and then goes back to the divergent timeline.
Well, I assume
what you're
Captain
saying?
America outlived Peggy because he's got the super soldier stuff. So he's probably just going to hang out as old man Cap in...
I mean, yeah, you're right. He could hang out as old man Cap. He probably doesn't have to go back to his timeline. But technically, you're right. If in his divergent timeline, he finds Tony, gives Tony the Hank particles and says, hey, we can use this to go back in time, and Tony can build it just like he would have built it in the in-game timeline, then technically, yeah, he could have went from his divergent timeline back to in-game timeline, done the sitting on the bench shit, and then got back home and went to Peggy's grave like a Rocky sequel.
Yeah. So who knows?
So, I mean, there's ways we can write and explain all this shit, but I think at that point, we're making up stuff that the movie should have done and not us.
Yeah, that's true.
But either way, it's fine. And then, so, of course, we had some deaths. We had Tony. We had Natasha. And And we have the death of the original run of Captain America. Because while Steve's not dead, Steve's Captain America is dead. And then Tony and Natasha. And that's it. I kind of expected more deaths in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean...
so they got rid of... So Black Widow died. Loki's dead.
But Loki's death is previous movie.
Yeah. I'm just saying the end result of the whole thing. Tony's dead, and Cap is retired. So that's a good chunk of the main team.
So 2 deaths and a retiree.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like we all thought we were going to be getting, like, huge, major deaths. And we really didn't. It really didn't happen that way. I don't think they needed to go that way. But it's just afterwards you're kind of shocked that you're just like, oh wow, a lot of people didn't die. And who would have thought Natasha would have died?
Yeah, that one kind of took me by surprise.
Like, I didn't see that coming at all. Holy shit. So I mean, but overall, this is a movie that if you've been invested in all the movies, you have to see it. You just have to. It's the end. It's the end of the era. It's the end of the 10-year run of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Who knows what they'll do next? We already know the next movie in the series is Spider-Man Far From Home. So that'll be good. But this does kind of mark the end of an era, and it kind of makes me go, can they keep this up now?
Yes. There's so many
storylines. Here's the thing. Are they going to now transition into TV series, especially with like Disney Plus?
So I know they have plans for TV series.
A lot. And that's what worries me.
Just today, they announced a Hulu exclusive Ghost Rider TV series.
Yeah, and they've got a TV series for Loki, a TV series for the combination of Winter Soldier and Falcon, a TV series apparently for Scarlet Witch that's going to do some weird timeline shit.
So we'll see where they go with the TV series. But even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't really, the events of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. aren't really affecting the MCU. I mean, Coulson's still alive right now, and the Avengers never mention it, ever. So I think they do a really good job of keeping the shows separate while still existing within the same universe. So I don't really worry about that too much. I mean, it might change with Disney Plus and them using MCU characters.
But this is because, like, with the DC shows and the DC movie universe are completely separate.
Right.
And for Marvel, they've done both. They have a separate universe, and then they have one that's in the movie universe.
Right, depending on which show you're watching.
Yeah. And well, even then, the separate universe is not technically separate. They just haven't pushed them together, so to speak. Like, could they actually now take Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and White Ninja Warrior, whatever his name was, Iron Fist? Could they now take those, since the TV shows are done, and give them movies? Could we see a West Coast or an East Coast Avengers movie?
That would be dope.
Like, what holds the future? I'm assuming, we've got Spider-Man Far From Home, and then we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Do we have any other movies announced besides those two?
I thought they were doing the Eternals.
But with the whole Disney Fox merger, I also had to go, are they bringing any of the mutants over? Are any of those getting reboots?
What I expect right now, I don't expect X-Men to be brought into the MCU for at least a couple of years. And when they do, I could see them building up to an X-Men versus Avengers movie, which would be cool. If I had to speculate, I would say that the next overarching villain is going to be Galactus.
So they've got to do a Fantastic Four.
Right. But keep in mind, we took 3 phases to get to the final Thanos fight in 10 years. That's plenty of time to build up the Legend of Galactus, to make a Fantastic Four movie,
It is
a Silver Surfer movie.
To bring in Adam Warlock. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will introduce Adam Warlock. I think we're gonna get a lot. They're gonna start over, basically, and give us new characters with their own origin movies and sequels to the Avengers who were introduced later in the game. We're gonna get a Doctor Strange 2, a Black Panther 2, Guardians 3, Spider-Man 2, probably a Spider-Man 3 before the next phase is done. I think they'll introduce a bunch of new characters, and they'll just kind of build this next chapter off of all that.
Yeah, let's see, and I hope the people that they've chosen for who continue on to this next run are up for can do 10 years like the original Avengers did, because that's not easy. Like, to dedicate 10 years of your life to do it, is Black Panther going to be able to pull off 10 years? Is Spider-Man going to be able to pull off 10 years?
Yes.
Is Captain Marvel going to be able to pull? But is the actor going to be able to pull off 10 years?
I think so. That kid
that's what it really comes down to, is the character can pull off 10 years, but can the actor pull off 10 years, which is the true reason why Marvel's Avengers run was so good. Because, like, if anything, like, all the standalone movies and all that, let's be honest, it's all for Avengers. All of that was for the Avengers. So can this new run of Avengers Volume 2, can these actors hold up and do it? That's what it's going to come down to, and I think that's where it makes or breaks. If they can make it, I think it'll be wonderful, and if they can't, it's going to break them. There's many things that can, bad movies, bad scripts. Look what's happening to DC right now. I don't know who's supposed to be playing Superman. I don't know who's supposed to be playing Batman. They keep going back and forth. They're fucking. I heard the guy that playing the Flash, he wants out.
Yeah, that's a mess. Aquaman and Shazam are fun though.
I haven't seen Aquaman yet. I know I need to. I do love me some Khal Drogo, but Shazam was by far the best DC movie I've ever seen in the universe. It was fantastic. If you haven't seen Shazam, go see it. This is the pitch I'll give you. It does for superhero movies what it's how a child sees superheroes movies. It has the magic that is only captured in a very few select movies. It's the Goonies of superhero movies.
It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So go see Shazam. You'll have a great time. It doesn't have like tons of like crazy emotional depth or anything, but it's a fun fucking movie. So I loved it. So Avengers Endgame, you were wonderful. This was 10 years in the making, and we are so glad that it happened. I can't wait to just go back and see it. I kind of, now that it's over, I kind of need to sit down. I want to make my top 5 from the first 10 years. Top 5 movies from the first 10 years.
Winter Soldier, Avengers, Endgame, Iron Man 1.
Okay.
The 5th.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Iron Man 1.
There's my 5.
I'm gonna keep Endgame off the list right now because I need to go back and it needs more time.
It doesn't for me.
So it needs more time to see how it holds up. But Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America: Civil War. I would say this is gonna be a surprise for some people. Ant-Man. That's a fun movie. That's a fun surprise movie. And then the 5th one is an Avengers movie. Right now, I'm going to give it to Infinity War, but Endgame might take it. So we'll see. But there's so many good movies in there. I absolutely loved it. And we just wanted to do this bonus episode because we saw it and we wanted to talk about it. And we didn't have anywhere else to do it, so we decided, fuck it, bonus show for y'all. If you want to check it out, you can check it out, because while we do a horror podcast, we like to do other stuff. That's why we have Jerry Hates Action and Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space. And every once in a while, we're just going to do random bonus stuff because we want to. And it helps us, break up the monotony of horror. It's for us. And, what are you complaining about? This is a bonus show. It's not even it doesn't even matter. So,
it's an alternate timeline. You can just snap it out of existence if you don't want it.
Exactly. And plus I had a really fucking bad day, guys. And this is, something that really makes me happy doing. So thank you for Jay for coming on here and tackling this with me. And thank all of you for listening. We will see you next time. The next episode of Kill the Cast should come out soon. It is, hopefully. We've had to reschedule it due to a pet death in the family and some other shit. But it should be The Toxic Avenger is what we're reviewing. With a small bonus review of Butterfly Kisses, which is pretty dope. And other than that, I did a guest spot on the Psychosemantic podcast where we did Battle Royale. But warning, that is a political-based show. So while we do discuss Battle Royale, we also discuss politics, not only dealing with the movie, but current U.S. politics. You will basically hear me rant about my beliefs and shit. So if you do not want to deal with that, if you're not into politics and you don't want to hear any of that, you can skip that. But if you want to still hear the movie review, it's about 30 minutes in. And then the last Kill the Cast episode that came out was a special also. I did Matango with 2 Legion Podcast Network guys, Court from Cinema Psyops, and Bo from Devour the Podcast, Pick 6 Movies, and Here Hero Go Show. And we had fun doing that. Matango is one of my favorite fucking movies, so I was stoked to do it. And that's it for us. We are fucking out of here. Check out the Facebook group. Check out the fucking Facebook page and the YouTubes and the Twitters and the Instagrams and all the things. It's all there. And Jay, you got any last words?
No.
Oh.
That movie was fantastic.
Yep. Thank you, Iron Man.
If you enjoyed this show, then make sure you check out the other great shows on the Legion Podcast Network, like Cinema Psyops, Cinema Beef, Devour the Podcast, Duncan and Bo Come Correct, Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, Friday the 13th, Get Slayed, The Hellming Power Hour, Hello, This is the Doom Show, Hero Hero Go Show, Kill the Cast, Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, Jerry Hates Action, Legion After Dark, Mental Health, Obsessive Cinema, Discourse, Pick 6 Movies, the podcast by The Cemetery, the podcast on Haunted Hill, the Psychosemantic podcast, Rick Radio, House of Wax, Dude Looks Like the 80s, Rabbit and Red Radio, the Shadecast, Short Bus Cinema, 2 Drink Minimum Commentaries, the VD Clinic, Who Will Survive Horror Podcast, and Witch vs. the Doomsday Clock. With such a wide spread of shows, there is guaranteed to be a niche for you to fall in love with. Horror, politics, movies, books, sex, music, commentaries, health, video games, kaiju, action, news, comedy, and opinions that would most likely get you killed in some parts of the world. We are proud to bring you some of the best podcasting in the world. Check us out at www.legionpodcast.com, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and any other dark corner of the internet where podcasts can be found.